We're not wasting any time today. No time to be wasted today because we have VJ Dewan here from Pine Sports. We've got so many great things to discuss, including World Series Game 1 set to start in a little less than 4 hours. And of course, we're a Philadelphia-based company here at Sport Trade. We are ecstatic, at least those of us who are not Yankees and Mets fans. NFL Futures update, a lot of movement after the Ravens and the Bucs played on Thursday Night Football. And as I mentioned, VJ Dewan joining us now from Pine Sports, the Pine Sports
Thanks.
Cave.
I
What's going on?
love the intro screen. You're talking about the World Series NFL Futures, but my name has the exclamation point.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
We know where our
I
bread
feel
is
like,
buttered, my man.
I feel like there should be exclamation points next to the other two and maybe a question mark or 3 dots next to my name.
We can always make adjustments.
I appreciate the excitement and the support.
We can always make adjustments on the show. Thank you so much for joining us
VJ
today.
is here?
VJ is here. That's like a Seinfeld episode, right? Real quick, for you. VJ, a lot to talk about. We are going to start with the World Series, though,
Yeah.
because obviously a lot of interest. We've got a lot of movement in some of our markets, a lot of them new, so I'll bring them up for you now. We'll start with my prediction, right? A lot of people in Philadelphia, for some reason, seem to think that this Astros team is kind of ho-hum, despite the fact that I think this is the greatest win discrepancy between two World Series teams in the history of the World Series, which goes back to, I think, 1903. So the Astros won over 100 games. The Phillies won 87 games. They would not be in the World Series for if two things didn't happen. One, if the playoffs were not expanded, the Phillies literally the last team to make the postseason. Two, if the DH was not in the National League, Bryce Harper may not have played this year. Elbow injury, has not played right field other than I think 3 or 4 games in the very beginning of the season. He's not playing if there's no DH, right? So a lot of things having to come together. The Astros obviously are really good. Being discounted by a lot of Phillies fans. We had Rob Ellis from 94 WIP, from Jacob Media on yesterday, Philadelphia sports media legend. He took the Phillies in 6, and that surprised me. It made me feel as though he was maybe sort of drinking the red Kool-Aid. As an observer, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
So there is one as like a trading website. I don't know if you've seen this, but the Phillies have won the World Series 1929, 1980, 2008. They basically win every time there's a market calamity.
Now let me debunk something for you.
Okay.
1929, Philadelphia A's, not the Phillies, the Athletics. So blame Oakland.
True.
Just blame Oakland. not our problem. But yes.
But apart from that, I mean, I say when you go to Philly, just hide all the trash cans. And maybe you have a chance. Or you can give the fans trash cans to kind of disguise it, but then they'd all end up on the field, so that might be a problem.
Hey, we very seldom do we throw things on the field unless you're JD Drew or Skinny Santa Claus. Other than that, we're not throwing things on the field, okay? I will say I always keep D batteries in my back pocket when I'm sitting in center field.
In case Santa Claus shows up?
No, in case JD Drew decides to also show up. That one's a deep cut. As we look at this World Series... No, go ahead.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little earlier on. I pulled my model up. It's actually a little more optimistic about the Phillies than I guess the market is here, but not much more optimistic. It still sees them as an underdog.
Well, the Phillies now down to $39 per contract on Sport Trade. What we have here are the exact results. So what we're seeing here on Sport Trade is the market for exactly how many games this World Series will go. As you can see, the two most popular are Astros in 7 and Astros in 6, which actually kind of surprised me, frankly. Astros in 5 at 16.5. You go all the way to the bottom is where you find the Phillies markets. Phillies 4-1 at 9.5. A Phillies sweep only at $4. I'm going to write that one off right now. That's just not going to happen. I'm obviously conflicted. I hate the Astros for obvious reasons, as many baseball fans do. However, I do recognize that top to bottom, they are a better baseball team. The Phillies, though, were super hot right now, but I have to follow my gut here. I think the Astros in 6. Hopefully,
I agree with you.
Yeah, hopefully at 19.5, so that would return you a little over than $80 minus commission on Sports Trade. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Astros in 6. Yesterday we had Gene Segura being bought up for World Series MVP at $1.20. I think that's a great value. Man, Justin Verlander, VJ, has been so terrible in the World Series. I hope that continues. This feels like an Altuve series. And at $6 a contract, he's been terrible in the postseason. I think he only has 1 or 2 hits so far. It feels like an opportunity for him to get right. He's a Hall of Fame player. And at $6 per contract, I kind of like Altuve to win MVP.
Go for it. $6. I mean, that's a good price.
I know.
Big upside.
I know. All right, let's talk about happier things. Let's talk about the NFL futures market. Very similar. We've got a little bit of movement in the futures market of late after the Bucks and Ravens last night. We're taking a look at the top 5 futures market teams here on Sport Trade. The Bills are commanding now more than a quarter of the market. They were 24.5 last week. They're now up $1 to 25.5. The Eagles staying pat at 13.5. The Chiefs have come up $2, now up to 13 from 11. Interestingly enough, the Ravens now at 5-3, VJ, at 5.5. And the Niners coming off a pretty substantial loss to the Chiefs,
good.
where Jimmy G
Yeah.
did not look very good, sneaking in to the top 5 at $5. I will read down for you now the rest of the top 10. The Vikings at $5, the Dallas Cowboys at 4.5, the Bengals at 4, the Bucks at 4, which seems like a complete write-off right now, and the Rams at 3.
Yeah.
And I think VJ, what surprises me about this is that there are 6 NFC teams in the top 10, despite the fact the Bucks are 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Vikings are 5 and 1. Niners don't really look all that good in my estimation. I'm just surprised that more than half of the teams are coming from the NFC.
And not one of them is my 6-1 Giants.
That's right. They're not. I actually know. I had this prepped before you came on, and of course I can't remember what their number is at, but we can pull it up here and show you on the screen. The Giants are at $2.20 right now.
Yeah.
How do you
No
account for
respect.
that?
Look, I bought them last week when they were at 40.
I did too.
To win the game. I think you just can't count them out. I mean, the Giants, their last 2 Super Bowl wins have been times when nobody expected them to win, especially against the 16-0 Patriots. I remember that. I was not in New York at the time. I was the only Giants fan in the room, and it was one of the best experiences I ever had in my life. It was fantastic. Count us out. Let's see how it goes.
Remember very clearly when the Eagles won the World Series, and I can't agree more. The World Series, the Super Bowl. Okay, let's turn our attention to 3 games you want to deep dive into this weekend. We'll start with the Niners and Rams, and they're over/under the total rather of 42.5, priced at 48.50 on Sport Trade. This graphic here listed by numerical value, so right in the middle there. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. We talked a little bit about this yesterday.
Yep.
In the last 4 games, the Rams have played the 49ers since Matt Stafford is the LA Rams quarterback. They've scored 10 points, 24 points, 20 points, and 9 points. The average score per game in those 4, regardless of who wins, 40.75. So a couple points off of that number of 42.5, and you're getting it, what would be plus money, right? Rams are back. Secondary had a lot of injuries, so you would presume that they'd be healthier, maybe playing a little better guys on the field. San Fran's still trying to kind of figure out the whole CMC experiment. Deebo Samuel has not practiced this week. He's popped up on the injury report with a bad hamstring. I look at this and I say, these 2 teams played each other, VJ, not 3 weeks ago. So to me, this is screaming under.
Interesting. So I pulled up my model, and we can dig into some data here. But my model kind of has the numbers the same as Sport Trade, very close.
Okay.
My model sometimes thinks it doesn't understand half points, so sometimes thinks there's like a 1 or 2% chance of a push. But it likes the over a little better than the under. It has the under at 48.32. But if we give each kind of a half a point, it's like 50.5, 40, 40, almost 49.51, basically.
So a little housekeeping here on my end. The under 42.5 is now up to 50.5. So maybe some traders thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. Well, at 48.5, it was 48.5, right? Before?
Or it was 48.5.
Before so my model likes it at 48.5, but not at 50.5.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because you have to add a half a point because there's it's basically splitting the 2, thinking that there's it's kind of like at 49 right now. But the issue is you have 2 teams that I agree with you. I think they've had so many injuries that they're a little less predictable. And I think let's see, what's the rolling average? I used 8 games. So what were what were the key sort of games back you were looking when just giving your overview? Maybe I can change the rolling average and we can see.
So
what it
was
like.
Just the previous 4 meetings. So dating back to 2020.
Oh, that's just them. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this one will be a little interesting. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Due to the injuries, I think this is one where you may want to just see how things roll. But I do like the under at 48.5, not really at 50.5.
Okay. Well, we may be at odds on that one.
I liked it. Did you buy it at 48.5?
I did not get it at 48.5. But yeah, for a $2 movement, I may not be as price sensitive as others. I kind of just I want to get what I think is going to happen, my side. So and I'm not deterred by 50.5, considering it's still 51 on the over.
Yeah.
So I think my play will be under 42.5 at 55.
Okay. Yeah. Let me I can just pull up this season stats and kind of look at total score too,
Okay.
just to do a quick double check. So we got Rams and San Francisco just this season. Let's just take a look. And you were given some stats on, total score, right?
Yeah. The previous 4 meetings are averaging 40.75 points.
Oh, between the two of them.
Yeah, between the two teams.
Okay. This season, the Rams are at 38 and San Francisco's at 39 this season on average.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So we're liking the under.
Yeah. Based
Even
on
more.
just this alone. Let's see if we do like team and opponent score and see what we've got. 20. Yeah. I mean, I like I do. Looking at just their season average this season, I do like the under. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
We're going under. Shout out
Let's go for
to in the comment section, Sport Trade commenting. VJ must have seen our TikTok. I just made a TikTok today, VJ, about the Phillies and their proclivity for crashing the markets. So we're glad that people are watching that one. And then Husky Park TV, our guy Eddie, second day in a row, great resume of the sport market. The best announcer. He must be talking about VJ. That's why we put exclamation points when VJ comes on the program. Shout out to you, Eddie. Another great week over at Baines Deli. We love you. All right, so we're both in sort of on the under.
On the under, looking at the underlying data, my AA model pulls a bunch of different stats, but just looking at the total scores in the last few games, these are pretty low scoring teams. I mean,
okay,
and it's they're not like, I agree with you. Let's do it.
Love it. All right, our next one, close to your heart, close to your home.
Yeah, I know.
The Seahawks -9.5 against the Giants. That price at just $27 per contract. Now, this is why it's attractive to me. I don't think the Seahawks are going to beat the Giants by 10. I don't. I think this is not only it's just a matchup between the only two teams this year, or this week rather, with winning records, VJ. But I don't think the Giants are just a team that's lucky. You roll the ball and they get lucky, 6 times out of 7 times this year. I also think the Seahawks are a lot better than people think. So Seattle averages the 3rd most points in the first half of games this season at 16 points per game. The Giants are scoring the 30th most points in the first half of games this year. Conversely, the Seahawks defense has allowed 10 points per game in the first half in their last 3 weeks, which is an improvement over the beginning of the season. Meanwhile, the Giants are going the other way. So they are now allowing over 14 points per game in the first half of games the last month. So that's why I think you want to grab the Seahawks at home early and then sort of just see what happens. So
you're picking the Seahawks at -9.5?
Yes.
Wow.
Again, this is just a first half play. This is not not a full game. I'm thinking the Seahawks, because they script the first several plays well, because they are showing that they are a high-powered offense to start games, and the Giants are slow starters, that this is an opportunity that, if it's only at $27. So if it gets up to 47 or 50, I've almost doubled my money. So that's my thought process there. We had a very similar lane last week with Tennessee. Tennessee -9.5 against the Colts. Now they end up winning the game by 9. They don't win, but at one point they were up 9 in the first half. So I was able to sell that for a profit.
Interesting. I'm pulling this up right now. So
he's like MFing me under his breath too. He's just like,
look at the Giants. Like, look at quarter by quarter. It's like a stare.
Oh, that's it. Look at
that.
The
first
that is
2 quarters of their scoring, they are at around 7 points at the first half. You can expect 7.5 points.
Yeah.
Based on, or that's how they previously have done. Seattle, on the other hand. Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. I see what you're saying.
Yep.
And you got 15 points for them. So
it's almost a cover in the first half.
Yeah, almost a cover. So that number can go up a lot. And then the second half, Seattle's scoring about 9 or 10. and the Giants are scoring a lot more. I mean, look at them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They've
No.
actually come. I mean, that's where they've really come through. I think they've been down every game this season, and have come back in the fourth in all of their wins. I think I could be wrong on that, but it's close. I think every win has been a comeback. So I see your play there. You can see that number creeping up and then trade it out at the half. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's what we're going to try to do. I think that's
Okay.
That's
I'm up
the
for
play.
it.
Okay.
I don't like betting against the Giants, so I'm not going to place that bet. But
well, again, the
looking
Giants.
at the data, I'm not going to disagree with that pick over there.
The Giants have plenty of space to come back here with 30 minutes left after halftime.
Exactly.
Our last play, VJ, and we're going back to the well. Tennessee -1.5 against Houston. Now, I don't plan on selling out of this one. This one I think is going to stay true. Now it's at 56.5, so it's a lot to lay, frankly, in terms of price. But I just look at the history between these two teams and the performance relative to each other. You know, the last 5 games, the Texans' run defense has allowed 143 yards on 20 carries to Josh Jacobs, 71 yards on 10 carries to Travis Etienne, 60 yards and 2 touchdowns on 13 carries to Austin Eckler. By the way, the Chargers can't run the ball. 157 yards on 20 carries to Khalil Herbert, and 161 yards to Jonathan Taylor in week 1. Now, now they get Derrick Henry. The stat du jour going around this week, I know du jour is day. I didn't take French, but the stat of the week is how many yards Derrick Henry has against the Texans in his last several games. Now, he hasn't played against them. He didn't play against them last year because of his foot injury, but he did play against them January 3rd, 2021, so 2 seasons ago. 759 yards in his last 4 games. That's a lot. Now, the only thing that's kind of still giving me pause is the injury report now for the Titans. You have Jeffrey Simmons, Ryan Tannehill, Ben Jones, their center, Bud Dupree, all not practicing or on a very limited basis. So the injury concerns are concerning. But the fact of the matter is that the Texans can't play defense. They can't stop the run. And if Jeffrey Simmons plays, I like the run defense of Tennessee 1.5 points better than the run defense of the Texans is sort of my thought process there.
Okay. Look, I think it's close because I'm just looking at them just as winner, right? I have Tennessee at 55.
Just
so
to
the
win.
only time there's like a winner, so if they win by 1, your spread matters. So I think maybe what is there, a 1 or 2%? I don't know what the percent chance of if they win by 1. So I'm still thinking it's over 50%, but 56 seems like a lot, especially when my model's giving them just a 55% chance of winning. If you see the market over here is giving them about a 40. If you just kind of take the odds in the on the regular books, they're giving it 59%. There's obviously some vig there. You got to take that down.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talk about this a lot. The fees on the sports books are
so a bit of an update.
Crazy. So you probably knock that down 2.5%. You're probably at 56 something.
Okay. So a bit of an update for you though.
Pricing, I think, a win at 56% or 57%, and then the difference is what are the chances of them to winning by just 1? I think that's probably 1 or 2. You probably have to. I'd have to do more math on that, but so I'm looking at. I think your bet's good at 51 to 53. At 56, it seems a little bit too rich, but again, that's like my being super price sensitive. It's not a terrible bet, but it's very close. I think you're looking at it right, and I think it's close.
So the market has dropped.
Yeah.
Since I made my little graphic, a lot of Friday afternoon bets coming in, trades coming in. It's now at 54.5. So
that sounds closer to right.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking. 52 to 54. Doing it in my head sounds about right.
Okay. So 54.5. Is that still too much for you, or you're thinking you'll let that ride?
That's like the line. That's basically the line.
That's
for
the
me.
line. Okay. All right. So we'll go back
we'll
go back and look at our games here. So Seattle -9.5. I'm on it at $27 per contract.
I
VJ
like
can't.
that.
Yeah,
At
VJ
trading out at halftime.
can't bring himself to do that one. We love San Fran
We do like the
Rams.
under.
Yeah, we love the under at 42.5. Last check at $50.50 per contract. So some of these contract numbers have been updated since I made the graphic. And then Tennessee -1.5, we're a little iffy on. We're not as thrilled about that one.
That one I'm on the line at 54. Not a huge fan at 56. If it drops to like 52, 53, I'd buy it.
Okay, well it's at 54.5 now. So hey, we had a great week last week. Hoping for another great week this week. Real quick, I was told that when I pulled up the graphic for the sweepstakes, I now have to rebuild that. We had no audio. So let me tell you, every week on the show, now that you can actually hear me, we're giving away $100 every single week here on the show for those who enter in the Market Mover sweepstakes. All you have to do, follow Sport Trade app on Twitter and then retweet and quote tweet the Market Mover show. Doesn't have to be live. Could be any Market Mover show with hashtag TradeUpNewJersey. We have a winner. Very excited to announce that Antonio Martinez is this week's winner of $100 into a Sport Trade account. So mazel tov to Antonio Martinez. Be on the lookout from a DM from our team to get your $100. VJ, thanks so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
You have done on Fridays. We love
Let's
having
win
you.
these 3 bets and maybe get 2 exclamation points next week.
That's a promise. 2 exclamation points next week. Let's get those.
How about an exclamation point for each win?
And let's get some World Series wins tonight. All right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Phillies. VJ, thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great weekend.
You do the same. Pumpkin patch time. Day round 2. We are, of course, here every day at 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday. We'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend.